The state of Utah released the new mugshot of Kouri Richins today, and I thought, you know what? What a terrific opportunity to wrap a little bow on this case that ended, well, it didn't end. It started with the attempted murder and then murder of an innocent man that was just trying to live life and provide for his family and, be a contributing member of society and of the community and of his family. And it is ending with a woman so bent on manipulation that she just can't help herself even after she's lost. And that has caused me to, I'm coming up with maybe a new thing that we might do from here on out. Maybe we start out with a question of the day. Okay. It's obvious to me that Kouri Richins is a master manipulator. She is so good at it. She has she's been successful on a lot of different levels. And you know what? Sometimes manipulation, well, I don't want to give away. Let's start with the question, okay? Question of the day. Put GF in your comment and answer this question, okay? Can manipulation be a good thing? And if so, when does it cross the line into being a bad thing? That's what we're going to attempt to answer for ourselves today. Now, we've got a whole bunch of stuff to go over. We'll get to the mugshot. We're going to talk about her manipulation. We're even going to bring up the sentencing memorandum from last week. Then we're going to get into 3 questions. We got some headlines in the Kimberly Sullivan case, Suzanne Morphew case. And yesterday I realized after the show ended that I forgot good news. So we're going to get into good news. What do we got? We got 10 gallons of content to put into a 5-gallon show. So let's get into it. This video contains mature themes and discussions intended only for adult audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello there, my friend. Welcome back to another true crime conversation with me, Gavin Fish. I am so glad that you are joining me, whether you are joining me here on the live stream on YouTube, or perhaps you're in the rewatch crew on YouTube or on Spotify, or maybe you're listening across this beautiful planet of ours on your favorite podcast destination or source. So glad that you do that. If you're in the rewatch crew, by the way, and you want a free and easy way to support my channel, if you are a Spotify premium video member, head over there, look up my show. It's just called The Gavin Fish Show over there. And if you watch over there, it hugely supports the show. And boy, am I grateful for your support. However you do it, by watching, commenting, sharing, subscribing, buying merch, being a patron or a YouTube member. You guys really take care of me, and I delight in it. Thank you very much for doing that. I've tried to contemplate on different ways that I might be able to give back a little bit. I really enjoyed the baby Gavin. What was trying to think? We did the baby Gavin scavenger hunt. That was fun. But you know what? Fan of them reached out to me and gave me this terrific idea, and that is for a giveaway. For those of you who'd like to support me with super chats or super stickers or buying my merch, you know what you can do? You can go to fanofthem.com/Gavin Fish. The link is in the description. You can click it there. And you can win, you can be entered to win this Omega Speedmaster Chronograph sports watch. I love this watch. I think it looks good on every wrist. Man or woman, maybe not child, maybe it's a little too big for child, but boy, is that a good looking watch. And all you have to do is click the link in the description or go to fanofthem.com/Gavin Fish. You buy a limited edition collectible or a digital download, and you end up with some cool merch and a chance to win the Omega Speedmaster. And you genuinely support my channel and my ability to continue delivering good content that you want to watch. So head on over to fanofthem.com/Gavin Fish. Get yourself some merch. enter yourself to win this Omega Speedmaster. Tomorrow is the deadline, May 21st, 2026 at 11:59 p.m. Pacific time. So by the time you and I are with each other tomorrow, it'll be over. So tonight is the time to go and do that. And thank you again for supporting me by doing that. Okay, let's take a look, guys. We're gonna unveil it. We're gonna unveil the latest mugshot. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Ta-da! There is Mrs. Richins. That is her latest mugshot that was released earlier today. If we go over to Acrobat with me, we can go check out this article. I got it on WGXA.TV, written by KUTV's Jared Turner. Kouri Richins prison mugshot released by Utah Department of Corrections. Dateline Salt Lake. Kouri Richins mugshot has been released by the Utah Department of Corrections after her conviction and sentencing for the murder of her husband. Richins was sentenced May 13 to life in prison without the possibility of parole after a jury convicted her earlier in the death of Eric Richins. Prosecutors said she poisoned her husband with a lethal dose of fentanyl at their home near Park City in 2022. Near Park City? I mean, Francis, okay? I guess in the grand scheme of things, I mean, it's closer to Park City than I am. The Utah mother and self-published children's book author was also convicted of attempted aggravated murder, forgery, and insurance fraud tied to the case. Prosecutors argued Richins was motivated by mounting debt, life insurance payouts, and a belief she would inherit millions from her husband's estate. And yada, yada, yada. We're going to, well, there's not much left. Let me just do the last couple of paragraphs. The case drew national attention after Richins published a children's grief book following her husband's death, then appeared in television interviews discussing loss and healing before her arrest in 2023. During the trial, jurors heard testimony that Eric Richins had previously told family members he feared his wife was trying to poison him. I was talking to a friend on the phone earlier today who was just recently up in Camas eating at the very cafe where Kouri Richins got the sandwich that she attempted to kill Eric Richins with. She was, and we don't have to say allegedly anymore, guys. It is not alleged. She is convicted of it. Prosecutors also alleged Richins tried to kill her husband weeks earlier with a fentanyl sandwich on Valentine's Day before the fatal poisoning in March. Her attorneys have said they plan to appeal the conviction. Well, of course they do. It's probably an automatic thing that they should definitely do that. Now, oh, you know what I forgot to do? I got distracted. We talked about the question of the day, right? We're going to do a question of the day today. That question, put GF in your comment, is can manipulation be a good thing? And if so, when does it cross the line into being bad? Also, I love knowing where you guys tune in from. So please do me a favor, will you? And put GF in your comment, go over into the live chat, go to the comments where you are, and tell me where you are tuning in from. I just really love that. Let's, first off, you know what? Let's bring up Eric Richins. Kouri's gotten all of the attention, and we are victim-centric here, right? We want to remember the victims, and Eric Richins is not the only victim here. His children, his parents, his family, his friends, they are all victims in this. And Kouri gets her picture out there way too often. Now, having said that, I kind of like putting her picture out there because I feel like she's a person who would rather climb under a rock than be known as a murderer. Or maybe she's just so deluded that she thinks it's great. I don't think so, but we shall see. Wanda says to the answer to the question that manipulation is never good. Let's see. Lorena says, Gavin, no, it's terrible and leads to hurt and pain. Cold Aquarius, hello from the home of Superman, Metropolis, Illinois. Very good, very good. Italia says, manipulation is never a good thing. It shouldn't be confused with encouragement. And Miss Chivos Dragon saying, I'm watching YouTube on my TV. So you are tuning in. Sharky Sharona saying, this is a little different take. Manipulation might be helpful for people in abusive situations, but in day-to-day life, no. Just no. Kimberly says I have this nervous twitch where I like touch my nose, and I do it way too often. But you know what it is? It's my mustachio is tickling my nose. I gotta trim that down. Mooney, she says, Gavin, no. That is one thing I can't stand, manipulation. I really take issue with anyone who manipulates other people. Let's see, Monica from Santa Rosa, California, coming to us from NorCal. Good to see you. Thank you very much. Oh, it just refreshed on me. Give me a second. Detroit, Michigan is in the house. Maria Spaghetti is from Queensland, Australia, is in the house. Let's see. Samara, if you don't put GF in the actual comment, I can't go back and see it. So gotta give me the whole new comment with a GF in it. I technically can see it, but I'd have to go through and scroll, and it really, really helps me if you guys put GF in the comment. Cooler by the Lake says, once these criminals are convicted and sentenced, shouldn't they just go away? I'm sick of seeing coverage about Kouri and others after the fact. Am I alone in feeling this way? I don't think, well, you might be alone. But there are plenty of people that feel the same way. I personally, I don't know. I feel like I missed the opportunity to cover the sentencing because I was so far into the De Forvida / Celeste Rivas Hernandez case, and I wanted to go back and review it because I think we can learn so much. I think we can learn so much about what drives this kind of crime, and for me, that's the value. And where we can learn it is in her actual behavior, even after she is facing a life without the possibility of parole sentencing. She still is trying to control the everything, right? She's trying to control her children, the children that she deprived of a father. She's trying to control the media narrative. She's trying to control paramours. I think it is interesting. Granny Debbie, it goes too far when it doesn't result in something good or positive. Talking about manipulation. Let's bring Eric back up. Diana coming to us from South Bend, Indiana, home of Notre Dame football. Doe Just Doe says, Gavin Moe. Maybe mean no. Monica says that is an evil woman. Doe Just Doe says no, manipulation is considered lying. Sioux Falls, South Dakota in the house. Memphis, Tennessee is here. And Reuter says manipulation is not good ever and shows control issues. Merglip says that book she wrote, I can't imagine she thought that would bring her closer to the children. Archangel, with a different take, says, probably unpopular opinion, but I think manipulation can help you and be good in certain situations. And Winifred isn't really my name, says, finally making it to a live from Little Rock, Arkansas, birthplace of Wanda. Wanda, is that really where you were born? Little Rock, Arkansas. I either didn't know that or I had forgotten it. It's Wanda, by the way, has some good news music that she's going to play for us tonight. Wanda, do you want to give a little taste? Little taste? Here we go. Silent on a soft sunrise. Yeah, that's enough. Okay. That's going to be our good news transition music. Monica says, manipulating a person is a bad thing because it can mess with people's sanity. Detroit says manipulation is not good. Heather says she is from the home of the Indy 500, Indianapolis. Glad to see you. Pine Barrens, New Jersey is in the house. Yes, Debbie, she was the one that wrote a child's grief book for her kids after her husband died, indeed. And Monica says the poor children don't have a mother or father. So sad. And Lake Erie says, my city was once known as the mistake on the lake. Well, I don't feel that way about Erie at all. Well, actually, I don't know which city you're talking about. I just assumed Erie, but maybe you mean somewhere else. And then Aunt Tiss is coming to us from Utah. Glad that you can catch a live as well. Thank you very much for being here. I think that we may start out with questions of the day. I think that kind of gets the juices flowing, right? And don't forget, as you interact with me on the live chat, put GF in the comment. What it does is it highlights your comment and it sets it apart from all the other comments that you guys do back and forth to each other, keeping this live chat classy. You guys are awesome for that, and I love it. Okay, let's travel back in time, shall we? Let us go to the 13th. A mere week ago today, I would like to bring up Lauren Silver's article from courttv.com titled Kouri Richins' Son, I Want Her to Go to Prison Forever. This is a telling article. And then we're going to get into the sentencing memorandum before we get into some headlines, 3 questions, and some good news. We're not going to forget good news. Wanda, give us that tease again on what you're going to play for good news. That's not it, Wanda. I mean, I like that. Was it? We're going to do this one tonight. Okay, we're going to stop. There we go. Okay. Lauren Silver writes for courttv.com, Dateline, Park City, Utah. I guess that's why they said near Park City. That's where the courthouse is. It's fine. As her husband's family delivered, remember, this is a week ago. As her husband's family delivered emotional and tearful victim impact statements at her sentencing, convicted killer Kouri Richins could be seen rolling her eyes and making faces. That's honestly, I mean, what a great lead. Lauren Silver, you are a professional writer for a reason. That's a great lead. And it tells so much about Kouri Richins, right? I mean, this was a view from, this is the thumbnail for this video, by the way, but that happened in that hearing. Okay, so rolling her eyes and making faces. Kouri Richins, 36, was convicted of aggravated murder, attempted aggravated murder, forgery, and insurance fraud in the death of Eric Richins, who died in the couple's home in March 2022. The medical examiner determined that Eric Richins' cause of death was a lethal dose of fentanyl, which prosecutors said was put into a cocktail he drank before his death. At trial, prosecutors argued the defendant killed her husband because he was worth more to her dead than alive. And this is a very, I mean, the human animal is a complex creature. We just are, right? But one thing that does not change is that we all react to incentives, either positive or negative ones, in a very predictable way. Most of us, though, don't go to the extreme and say, oh, I've got this incentive where my husband or my wife is worth more dead than alive. I shall accomplish said unaliving. Most of us don't do that, right? We're at the edges, the margins of society. And I mean, it's uncommon. Maybe that's why this case is so compelling, is that it is uncommon to have like a black widow like this. Typically, and it's just the way it is, violence, which can be perpetrated by anyone, is mostly perpetrated by men. And while maybe a poisoning, we might not think of it as violence, right? As like full on, slashing or shooting or punching or bludgeoning or what, very violent things. It's still a violent crime. She killed this man, right? So I guess it's just very interesting that, okay, he was worth more dead than alive, and so I am that desperate that I'm gonna go ahead and just kill him. It's just crazy. Okay, continuing the sentence. Worth more to her dead than alive. She wanted his insurance money to solve her debt problems and was involved in a relationship with a paramour. To that end, the jury found that Kouri Richins not only killed the victim in March 2022, but also that she tried to kill him the month prior. Quote, on Valentine's Day 2022, Kouri Darden Richins tried and failed to murder her husband and the father of her 3 children, prosecutor Brad Bloodworth. Do we have a picture, Javi, of Bloodworth? We do. There we are. Said at Wednesday's sentencing hearing, continuing the quote, over the next 17 days, she did not think, what have I done? Rather, she thought, how can I do better? And then she murdered Eric in the presence of their children, using poison and for money. Close quote. Judge Richard Mrazek noted the sequence of events as he handed down a sentence of life without parole for the charge of murder. Kouri Richins spoke publicly for the first time since her arrest at the sentencing hearing, using the time to send a lengthy message to her sons, filled with advice she wanted them to have. Oh my goodness, the chutzpah. Quote, be honest with yourself and those you need to, but never apologize for something you didn't do, she said. Oh my goodness. This reminds me of the scene in The Shawshank Redemption where Andy learns that everybody in prison is innocent, right? Continuing her quote, never admit to something you didn't do and never beg for mercy for something you didn't do, close quote. She spoke for more than 30 minutes, urging them multiple times to, quote, be like your dad, close quote. Oh, the chutzpah, man. I've already said that, but man. The defendant maintained her innocence, saying she remained in disbelief that she was convicted. What? Quote, to this day, I can't believe this is real sometimes. It's just cruel and heartless that 8 people from a jury who have never met you or me or our family had the right to determine our future. And they did that in less than 3 hours. They did it in less than 3 hours because it was easy. That's why. In a sentencing memorandum, we're going to get to the memorandum, filed before Wednesday's hearing, prosecutors said the defendant sent, quote, an admirer, close quote, a message that shows her lack of remorse. Just for a second, can we just pause for a second? Kouri Richins has an admirer. I bet there are enough sick people in this world that she probably has many. Oh my, this shocks me. I was talking to that same friend earlier today about somebody that she knows, somebody in her life that just loves the bad boys. But I just don't get it. I guess I just don't get it. I don't get how somebody would admire and not just a convicted murderer, but just an accused murderer. That's enough to go, back away slowly, right? That's just... Okay. So this is what she wrote to the admirer. I will expose this county, Summit County, Utah, you bunch of evil, dirty words. Okay, I will expose this county, the prosecution, the judge. The judge. That was a bit of a Freudian slip. Sorry. Sorry. Okay, let me start this over. Javi, we're going to do a take 2 here. Let's start over. All right. Okay, wait, hold on. Wait for my clapper. Here we go. Okay. I will expose this county, the prosecution, the judge, the Richins, the investigation, all of it, So they can lock me away for now, that's fine. I'm going to come back on them. It will come to an end, not this year or next, but I'm not going away. I won't be silent. I'm going to expose them all for what they have done to me, my kids, my family. This injustice. They picked the wrong one. They think sentencing is the end. Closure. It's just the beginning. They haven't seen anything yet. Oh, and she added a little winky smiley face emoji. Wendy Lewis. Poor Wendy Lewis to be in this position. Poor Wendy. Do we have a picture? Here is Wendy Lewis. All right. Wendy Lewis, one of Kouri Richins' attorneys, called the sentencing memo unreliable and irrelevant. Wendy, I mean, you gotta, I guess, right? You're the defense attorney. You gotta do it. I don't blame you. And that blazer is just smart as all get out. You're just looking great in that. The picture is of a moment where you have a frown, but you look wonderful and you are a terrific attorney. But calling the sentencing memo unreliable and irrelevant, that is precious. That is cute. That is adorable. Okay, Wendy Lewis, one of Kouri Richins' attorneys, called the sentencing memo unreliable and irrelevant and said much of its contents was either misleading or outright false. I wonder if she's talking about the direct quote, though, if that was misleading, or if the direct quote was outright false, or if it was unreliable. I mean, it's it's long, right? The sentencing memo is 15 pages, but yeah, I think that's a cute argument. I think it's adorable. Okay, counselors who worked with the Richins' three young children delivered statements on the boys' behalf in court. Quote, I want her to go to prison forever, WR's statement read. When someone talks about Kouri, it makes me feel hateful and ashamed. CR, who was 9 when his father was killed, agreed with his younger brother. I think Kouri should get a life sentence because what she did is very sick, because it had no reason to happen and it impacted a bunch of people, including me. Now 13, prosecutors say CR wears his father's clothing to school. Heartbreaking and beautiful. Oh, wow. That's a strong kid. That is a strong kid. Can you imagine that? Look, I remember in the 6th grade, Wanda, maybe you can get us some flashback music. Thank you. I remember in the 6th grade, a classmate of mine, who I shall not name, but was close friend, lost his mother just to illness. She was unwell the entire time that I knew her. So she passed away, and I remember the day that he came back to school. Now, of course, this isn't murder, right? This isn't violence. This isn't the worst thing that can happen. It is a terrible thing to have happened. And we were in the 6th grade when it did. And when he came back to school, I remember all of us trying to be supportive, trying to be understanding, trying to, walk on eggshells a little bit for him. And I look back on that as an adult and I think that must have been the second hardest thing that he did in that week or so. The hardest thing, of course, being the actual death of his mother. But going back and being back in school had to be so difficult. And he did have a difficult time of it, as one would expect. Now we're reading about little CR here, 13 years old, is in junior high, right? Junior high age anyway. Life has to go on for him. He had to do that step where my dad died, and have to go back to school. Life has to continue, and I have to listen to everybody tell me how sorry they are, and I have to see how strangely they behave, and I have to go through that whole thing that is just so hard, and then learn that it was his mom who did it. It wasn't his dad just accidentally died. It was that his mom murdered him, and then he had to do that process again, right? And now that she is sentenced and it's certain that she is a murderer, I bet he had to do that again. All three boys. And, having to do that, my goodness, I'm sympathetic. So tough. So tough. And the description that he wears his father's clothing to school is, like I said, it's heartbreaking and beautiful. Wow. That's like, that's like, well, I don't mean to minimize the meaning of it, but that's Linus carrying his blankie around, right? It's comforting. Whew, that one got me. That one got me. Another son, continuing Lauren's article, identified as AR, said, quote, "You took away my dad for no reason other than greed, and you only cared about yourself and your stupid boyfriends." Close quote. "My sweet baby boys," Kouri Richins began her address. This is just straight evil manipulation right here. "My sweet baby boys," Kouri Richins began her address in court on Wednesday. "I know that you don't want to speak to me, have a relationship with me. You may think you hate me, and that's okay. I will never be angry at you for your feelings. When the day comes that you're ready, I will be here for you, waiting for you, and loving you. I want to vomit." That's me speaking. I'm sorry. Continuing the quote. "But I need you boys to know and understand that I have been desperately trying to get in contact with you in any way that I can for years." Close quote. She pleaded with them to ask their guardians to give them the letters she pledged to continue to send. Quote, Please ask them for your cards, for your letters. I've tried calling you. Please just ask them, whether it's now or in 10 years." Close quote. Eric Richins' sister, Kouri Richins, said that her brother was done with the marriage at the time of his death, but stayed for their children. Quote, "I begged him to end the marriage and go his separate way. By that point, he had already consulted with a divorce attorney and was deeply afraid that he might not be awarded sole custody of his children," Kouri Richins said. "He made the heartbreaking decision to stay because he could not accept the risk of what might happen to his sons if Kouri had equal custody. He told me he would live his life through hell every single day of his life until his youngest was 18 because he believed Kouri was the most evil person he had ever met." Well, he believed right. In tears, Eric Richins' other sister, Amy Richins, revealed she too had counseled her brother to leave. Kouri Richins was visibly shocked by her former sister-in-law's statement, mouthing the word "what" to her attorney, rolling her eyes and making faces. Blah, blah, blah. In contrast to the eye-rolling comments and faces Kouri Richins was making during statements from her sons, she was in tears as the defense presented their arguments in court. As her sister and brother spoke about her kind nature and calling her a good person, the defendant was seen dissolving into tears. The defendant pledged to appeal her conviction. Quote, "I will appeal and fight these charges no matter how long it takes, not because I have anything to prove to this court, the state, to the Richins family, or to the world, but I do have something to prove to you three," she said, referring to her sons. "I will never quit or give up on this fight for injustice, the truth, and coming home to you." Judge Mrazek sentenced Kouri Richins to serve life without parole for the murder. She also received up to 5 years for forgery, 1 to 15 years for each of the 2 counts of insurance fraud, and 5 years to life for attempted murder, all to be served consecutively. Her next court date is a restitution hearing scheduled for July 31st. Now, we're going to pause here. I've got something else on this case that we want to get to, but I'm going to pause here just to check in on what your comments are here. Let me scrollify on up here. Christine Meadows is joining us from the Atlanta suburbs. Glad you are here, Christine. Thank you very much. Debbie saying she's simply evil. PJ is checking in from Oregon. Dom's mom, thank you very much for being a new member. Welcome to Fanatic. Thank you very much. Italia says she gives cult leader vibes. Yeah, she's convincing nobody but herself, I think. Jennifer saying hello from farm country in Virginia. Glad you are here, Jennifer. Thank you so much. And Aunt Tiss says, thank you so much for the theatrics. We need levity for tough cases. P.S. My favorite is when you quoted Princess Bride Mowedge. Mowedge. The impressive clergyman was the name of that character. Yeah, I can't take what she says seriously. It's just so dumb. South Africa's in the house. Woohoo! Thank you very much. I appreciate you being here. You might win the award for being farthest away. Though we do have Australia in the house, right? So I don't know. Maybe Australia. You guys are going to have to fight for it. But do it in a do it in a calm, polite Canadian way. Let's do it that way. Okay, let's see. Debbie says, can the evil witch get the DP? She was not sentenced to the DP. Life without parole. And the sentencing is over. It is done. She has received her sentence. So no to that, Debbie. Alrighty, let's go on over to the sentencing memorandum. Okay. I'm on page 8 here. The sentencing memorandum is long. Let me kind of just back out so you can kind of see it. But it has a narrative of the case. It has requests that the state is asking for, right? What these are the sentences that we want. It gives an argument as to why, and then in the argument, as we go down, there are subsections. The subsection that I would like to read is subsection C, which, oh, wait a minute, I might want to do... let's do B and C, okay? It's going to be a little long, but let's do B and C because B is going to give us some information on the background of the family. Okay, so B says the impact on the families or on the victim's family is irreparable. Let me put this to where I like it. Okay. Fathers are not meant to bury sons, and losing a sibling is losing a piece of yourself. But there are no greater victims in this case than Eric's 3 young boys. The defendant took both of their parents from them. The aggravated murder was a crime of domestic violence in the presence of children. Eric Richins was a good husband. He cared and provided for his wife and even protected her from herself. Eric was a good father. He knew that the defendant tried to murder him on Valentine's Day, and he also knew that it was unsafe for his children if he were to leave the home. Eric died protecting his boys, and they know it. CR was 9 years old when his mother murdered his father. He is now 13 and wears his father's clothes to school. Following Eric's death, DCFS supported a finding of emotional and physical abuse by defendant against CR. He and his brothers have participated in intense therapy since the defendant was arrested 3 years ago. CR wants the court to know that, quote, my dad was a good person and very thoughtful and kind and helped whoever needed help. And that, quote, I am afraid if she gets out, she will come after me and my brothers, my whole family. I think she would come and take us and not do good things to us, like hurt us. I miss my dad, but I do not miss how my life used to be. I don't miss Kouri. I will tell you that. AR was 3 weeks shy of his 8th birthday when his mother murdered his father. You know, that is about the age my dad was. My dad was like 6 weeks shy of his 8th birthday when his dad died in an accident. It wasn't a murder, so it's not comparable. But what I can tell you is that in the, 71 years that have passed, it is a constant presence in my dad's life and consequently my mom's, us kids, our kids. The death of a parent does not the hurt may fade, may dull, but it never goes away. It's been 71 years. My grandpa died in May of 1955. More than 20 years before I was born, and it still affects me, right? So, yeah, AR. AR was 3 weeks shy of his 8th birthday when his mother murdered his father. The defendant made AR her alibi, thereby condemning her child to be a material witness. If called to testify at trial, AR would have recalled being put into bed early on March 3rd, 2022 without bathing, which was unusual for the boys. The television was playing loudly inside his parents' bedroom, and when AR tried to enter, he found he was locked out. AR used a broom to try to dislodge a key from above the door frame, intending to unlock the door and enter the bedroom. AR accidentally hit the wall with the broom, making a noise that attracted his mother's attention. She yelled at AR to go away. She later entered his room and asked him what he needed. AR pretended to be asleep because he was angry with her. Later during the night, his younger brother, WR, woke and tried to enter his parents' bedroom to sleep with them, as was his habit. WR also found himself locked out and slept in AR's bed instead. AR would have testified at trial that the defendant did not sleep in his room with him the night she murdered his father. AR wants the court to know that, quote, my dad can't be my coach anymore. Can't be at any of my games. He won't be at my birthdays. He can't teach me how to drive. He won't be at my graduation, and he can't take me camping or fishing. And that I don't want the defendant out of jail because I will not feel safe if she is out. With her in jail, I will be able to continue to feel safe and live a happy and successful life without fear of her hurting me or anyone I love. WR was still in preschool when his mother murdered his father. He has now lived half his life without his father and 3 years without his mother. His memories of both are limited. He remembers being scared the night of his father's murder and wetting his pants while held in the bedroom before his Aunt Katie arrived. WR wants the court to know that, quote, when someone talks about Kouri, it makes me feel hateful and ashamed. She took away my dad, and that if she got out, I would be so scared. I'm worried that she would take me away. Once she is gone, I will feel happy, and we'll feel safer and relaxed and trust people more. Yeah. Let me go to subsection C. All of that is just so heartbreaking. Subsection C, or section C, says the defendant's character is irredeemable. Again, this is a memorandum from the state to the judge arguing as to why she should get what the state wanted her to get, which was life without parole. Okay, the defendant is transparent. Evidence of her character is well known from all stages of this proceeding to include her prioritizing a facade of success over everything. Her fraudulent borrowing, her stealing her best friend's life savings, her persistence in murdering Eric after failing on Valentine's Day, her self-publishing a children's book for money and attention, and the aim of her walk the dog letter, among a slew of other examples. The defendant cannot check her ambition or her sense of entitlement. When confronted, she lies. When she feels aggrieved, she attacks, and she certainly feels aggrieved. She always has. In the immediate aftermath of the guilty verdict, the defendant blamed a corrupt prosecution, a corrupt judge, and unfair Summit County jurors. State's sentencing see the Exhibit C. 6 weeks following the guilty verdict, the defendant text messaged an admirer, which still just blows my mind. Get a life. I will expose this county, the prosecution, the judge, I said it right, the Richins, the investigation, all of it, so they can lock me away for now. That's fine. It's going to come back on them. It will come to an end. Not this year or next, but I'm not going away. I won't be silent. I will not go silently into the deep, into the dark. What are the charges of eating a delicious or succulent Chinese meal? Okay, I'm sidetracked. Okay, I won't be silent. I'm going to expose them all for what they have done to me, my kids, my family. This injustice, they picked the wrong one. Why they picked the wrong one? They think sentencing is the end, closure, it's just the beginning. They haven't seen anything yet. Winky smiley, oh, you mean emoji. Okay. Most telling of her character, the defendant attacked Eric within hours of her arrest. She, for the first time, blamed Eric for his own death. From jail, the defendant and her family engaged in open season on Eric the Dead, releasing what they believed to be damaging information about Eric to the media. During trial, the defendant falsely accused Eric of having an affair with a coworker and a homosexual affair with one of his best friends. The Richins children are familiar with the inescapable media coverage of this case. Many of the defendant's attacks against the Richins family permeate the record. For example, she throat punched Amy Richins 2 days after murdering Eric when Amy informed her of the Eric Richins Living Trust. Eric created the trust to protect her and their children. 4 days later, she hired counsel to breach the trust. She told Jean Richins that Eric died of the same lung mold that killed Jean's wife. Cruel. In the Walk the Dog letter, the defendant instructed her mother to release photographs of Katie's young children to the media and wrote, quote, "Bring me home and then we'll get those damn bitches," close quote, referring to Eric's sisters. When confronted with the letter, the defendant insisted, in the face of all reason, that it was part of a freaking book, a half-true, half-fictional novel about her incarceration. Other of the defendant's attacks against the Richins family are new to the record. For example, when the estate investigator found bank statements with Kouri Richins Realty's account header and C&E's account details, the defendant accused Katie and hired counsel to advocate for the criminal prosecution of Katie. When detained pre-trial, she caused her family members to pursue federal firearms charges against Jean for removing Eric's firearms from the Willow Court home for safekeeping, file false reports with the DCFS against Katie, and report Amy Richins to the police for marijuana possession. To this day, the defendant maintains insurance policies on the lives of her children. The Richins family will not be safe if the defendant is ever paroled. The defendant's attacks extended beyond the Richins. While detained pre-trial, the defendant caused her family members to file unfounded bar complaints against the Summit County attorney and chief prosecutor and post a gay dating profile of the lead detective online. The defendant also made an unfounded criminal complaint to the FBI about Eric Richins' business partner. The defendant's character is evident despite her well-crafted facade. Eric surviving Valentine's Day, 3 years of pretrial detention, and a resounding guilty verdict has only amplified the worst of her character. It did not remedy it. She has expressed no remorse and has indeed publicized the opposite. So, the irrational nature and circumstances of the aggravated murder, its irreparable impact on Eric Richins' family and others, and the defendant's irredeemable character prove empowering aggravation. Any mitigation the defendant presents will only be more facade. It is all she has. But even if credited, it cannot outweigh the aggravation. Accordingly, the defendant has earned the maximum punishment short of death, and public safety requires her permanent incapacitation. She has well established that rehabilitation is beneath her. Life without parole, combined with the intense publicity cultivated by the defendant and her counsel, will also deter would-be poisoners from coldly murdering their spouse and their parents' children. And that's, I mean, I think it's well argued, and I am certainly convinced of the evilness of Kouri Richins. Let's see what you guys are saying over in the comments. Just a couple comments here. Fire Rabbit said, "My dad passed 16 years ago and I was 22, and it still feels like there's a hole in my heart. I can't imagine how it feels for those young boys." Yeah, very sympathetic, and I'm sorry for you. That's tough. Mooney says, I love that all the boys called her Kouri, not Mom. I love that too. Monica says she is diabolical. Indeed. Heather, whatever. She is awful. She is. And may she spend the rest of her days confined in a small box. And we never have to think of her again. Well, on July, where there's going to be a hearing. There are other cases against her, by the way. Like, I was just in Utah's exchange, and there's more. So she probably will be in the news a little bit more often. Let's see. No, I just want to check my agenda here real quick. Yeah, we've covered everything. So, adios, Kouri Richins. Let's take a look at your mugshot one last time. Ciao, and yeah, don't let the door hit you as you are locked into your prison cell. That's how I feel. I don't want anything bad to happen to her. I don't want prison justice. Just want her to be locked away and forgotten, and we don't have to think about her ever again. Now, we got plenty more show to go, guys. We got some headlines in the Kimberly Sullivan case. You'll remember that's the case where the man who had been imprisoned in his own home for decades lit the house on fire in order to, hoping that firefighters would come to his rescue. We've got some news in the Suzanne Morphew murder, and we've got some good news as well. But before we do all that, how about we dive into 3 questions? Here we go.
3 questions with Gavin Fish.
Guys, in this segment, I answer your questions that you send in to me at the email address on your screen, which is 3questions@gavinfish.com. 3questions@gavinfish.com. It's spelled out, THREE, questions@gavinfish.com. Send in 1 question. Send in 1,000 questions. I really love it. I love that there are like 5 or 6 people that send in questions all the time, and it's great. But we got a couple new correspondents recently, which is also pretty darn fun. I probably should have, I'm looking at this on my screen right now, and I probably should have prepared an answer for this one, but I didn't. But here we go. Question number 1, and by the way, bonus points for anyone who asks a question that can be answered in the live stream by you, and this is one of those. What's the strangest or surprising compliment you've ever gotten? Strangest or most surprising compliment you've ever gotten? You know, most people are shocked at how tall I am. So I hear a lot of that. Like if you were to meet me in person, you'd go, oh. And it's not that I'm even that tall. I'm 6'2". So it's not that I'm like super tall or anything like that. I'm not some giant, but I do get compliments like that all the time. Oh my goodness, you're so tall. I had no idea. You know, I don't know if that's a compliment or an observation. I don't know. Strangest compliment? I don't know. That's probably it. That's the one that happens the most frequent. Just, boy, you're tall, which I'm slightly above average. Thank you for that question, Ruth. I would love to hear what your answers are. What is the strangest or most surprising compliment you've ever received? Elizabeth, this is a new one. I've not heard from Elizabeth before. Elizabeth says, I'm newly engaged. Elizabeth, good on ya. Congratulations. I'm happy for you. And I'm happy for your future betrothed as well. Or is betrothed an engaged thing? Is it currently? I don't know. I'm reaching back into my library of vocabulary, not knowing what the definition of words is. I just should stop. Okay, I'm newly engaged. What is some advice you'd give to newlyweds? Well, you are in luck, Elizabeth. I am chock full of advice. Is it good advice? Maybe sometimes. I don't know. But it's definitely advice. Here's the thing. Okay. We said earlier, the human animal is a complex creature. Okay, we are attracted to people for different reasons, right? And we fall in love, and it is a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Uh, but it is not the most important thing in a marriage. Yeah, do we need like a dun 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 kind of music? Um, I don't know if that shocks a lot, but I think most people that have been married a long time would agree with me that it's not love. Love isn't in the top five reasons why you have a happy marriage. Okay, it's certainly the reason that you get married. It's certainly the reason that uh, you begin dating a person or seeing them seriously. You get engaged, and it's a good reason for all of those things. But the most important thing is that your spouse be your best friend. And I mean your best friend. The person that you will go to when when you have your ups and your downs. And there will be lots of both, and both of them are important and necessary and beautiful. But you have to have so much trust in your spouse that, for example, if you were to be having, say you have um, a mental health crisis and you just don't know what to do, you have to be able to turn to somebody that you trust completely. That person should be your best friend. That person should be your spouse, right? So I hope for you that not only do you love the person that you're engaged to, but that that person is your best friend and the person that you trust most in life. And if that is the case, then you're going to do great because you're going to have hard times. You're going to have times of absolute jubilee and elation. It's going to be amazing. You're going to have the tough ones too. And I saw an interview of it was Bill Murray of all people on Howard Stern, where he was talking. It was framed in a different part of a conversation, but it's germane to this. He said that you have to have the hard times because, well, what he said was the hard times are the parts that make the best stories. And it's true, right? Going through hard stuff makes the best stories. And in order to understand and appreciate the really good times, you have to be able to compare them to the darkest moments. So you will have those, and they're necessary and important and later beautiful. Kimberly and I, it was either last night or this morning. She said, "When you think of Reno, what do you think about?" Reno was the hardest. We lived in Reno, Nevada for 3 years. It was the hardest 3 years of our life. And I look back on it, and all I could do is smile. All I could do is, and at the time, it was rough, man. It was so hard. We were living day to day. Were we going to make it through the next day? We it was so tough. Just living day to day. Will we have money to get groceries for the day? Will there were just it was tough, but when I look back on it, I love that time. I love how creative we were. I love how we worked together. I love how we hustled hard. And anyway, so marry your best friend. Trust that friend, and you will do very, very well. And congratulations on your engagement. If anybody else has advice for Elizabeth, put it in the comments. Third question of the day, also from Elizabeth. Yeah, I normally don't do that, but I did it this time. Elizabeth asks, "Have you ever been to North Dakota? I'm from Bismarck." What's funny is that pretty much when people ask me if I've ever been somewhere, there's a good chance that I have been. And North Dakota is a state where my parents were stationed in the Air Force, I think for 6 years. I think. They were stationed at Minot Air Force Base. This would have been in the 60s and 70s. And I've always wanted to visit specifically Minot and never have. So no, I've never been to North Dakota. A couple of years ago, we went to South Dakota. We were driving home from California to Pennsylvania, and we decided to take the northern route and went through, the Badlands, and we went through the Black Hills, and we saw Mount Rushmore and Crazy Horse and stuff like that. We all the way up, we got to see the mouth of the Mississippi. The mouth. What do you call that? Where the river begins. There's a word for that. But anyway, we got to see that. But no, I've never been to North Dakota. Put in the comments places in the states where I should go. I've been. I think it's north of 40 states that I've been to so far. It probably low 40s, 42 states, something like that. But never North Dakota. Guys, send your questions in to 3questions@gavinfish.com. Don't try to cheat. Don't ask questions in the live chat thinking that you're gonna pull the wool over my eyes, okay? I don't even care if it's supple woolly cashmere blend that is soft and delightful upon my eyes. It's still wool being pulled over my eyes. Don't do that. Send it in to 3questions@gavinfish.com, and I promise that I will answer all the questions that I get honestly, completely, and to the best of my ability, but I get to do it in the order that I see fit and 3 at a time. Guys, those are your questions. While you are putting your answers to the 3 questions in the live chat, let's dive into some headlines. Here we go. All right, you guys remember the case of Kimberly Sullivan, where her stepson had been imprisoned in their house. We have some news that came out yesterday in this case, reported by Jamel Johnson, Fox61.com. Judge strips accused stepmother of control over Waterbury home linked to alleged captivity case. Dateline Waterbury, Connecticut. A probate judge has ruled that the Waterbury home, where a man says he was held captive for roughly 2 decades, can be sold while simultaneously blocking Kimberly Sullivan, the stepmother accused of confining him, from controlling the estate tied to the property. So the house can be sold, but Kimberly Sullivan doesn't get any control over it. Waterbury Probate Court Judge Matthew Vaccarelli opened the estate of Sullivan's late husband, Craig Sullivan, but denied Kimberly Sullivan's application to serve as its administrator. In her place, he appointed Woodbury attorney Edward Duffy, who has a background in real estate, citing the need for assurance that all fiduciary duties would be carried out properly and in the interest of all beneficiaries. Quote, "This court is going to appoint him so that this court has a high level of assurance that all the duties of the fiduciary will be discharged properly, keeping in mind all beneficiaries of the estate," Judge Vaccarelli said from the bench. Kimberly Sullivan had been in the process of possibly selling the home to a real estate firm, with documents obtained from probate court showing a purchase and sale agreement had been established for $110,000. JD Homes LLC, based in Stamford, was listed as the potential buyer. A central issue before the court was Sullivan's 2024 application to become estate administrator, which did not list S, her stepson and the alleged victim in her criminal case, as one of Craig Sullivan's heirs. Can you believe that crap? Sullivan said the omission was an honest mistake. So she lists her children, but not S. Quote, "The attorney asked me if we had children together. I listed my 2 daughters, not realizing it was supposed to be all of the children," she said in court. Judge Vaccarelli was unconvinced. Quote, "I have to tell you, Ms. Sullivan, I find your representations about not listing Mr. Sullivan's son as disingenuous and not believable as to your reasons. This matter goes a lot deeper than what we have today, but I would have grave concerns if I were to appoint you as the fiduciary to run this estate." Good for the judge. So, can you believe that? My goodness. Kimberly Sullivan. Here are the heirs. Let's not include the guy that was kept captive for 2 decades in that very house, the son of her late husband, who, by the way, is not innocent of anything here either. He's just dead, so he gets off the hook easy. But that is the latest update in that case. That just happened yesterday, and we're keeping an eye on the criminal side of things. Okay, in the Suzanne Morphew case, this written by Melissa Henry from kktv.com. Barry Morphew's lawyers asked that certain witness comments not be allowed at trial. Filed 31 motions since last month. Dateline Colorado Springs. The defense team for a Colorado man accused of killing his wife has filed more than 30 motions since he was previously in court ahead of his latest court appearance on Tuesday. Barry Morphew is accused of murder in the death of his wife, Suzanne Morphew. The couple lived in Chaffee County until Suzanne was reported missing in May 2020. Her remains were found in September 2023 in a remote area of Saguache County. During Tuesday's status conference, the judge noted the defense's filing of 31 motions, all dated April 13th. Among them, the defense is asking for the court to exclude testimony from trial about Barry Morphew's mental health state or credibility. The defense is also asking to exclude witness comments that, quote, Mr. Morphew looked guilty, looked untruthful, or looked suspicious, or looked like he is hiding something, according to court records. The defense is asking that statements attributed to Suzanne Morphew not be allowed at trial and that all jury materials be preserved past the 3 years required by law. District Attorney Ann Kelly said she plans to file responses to many of the defense's requests. The judge has yet to rule on any of the recently filed motions from the defense. Morphew is due back in court June 24. So they're wrangling, they're arguing, they're trying to set themselves up for a win, and we will see what happens. Now, Wanda, it's your time. You ready? We're going to go on to good news. We like to end with some good news here. It cleanses the palate so that for the rest of our evening, we have a delicious, wonderful evening. Wanda, can you play that Yacht Rocky one that you played earlier? Here we go.
Silent on a soft sunrise, good news shining in your eyes, warm breeze blowing smooth and slow, sweet tomorrow's finally home.
That's very nice. Well, it ended abruptly, Wanda, but you were on the drums. That was really good. Wanda was on the drums on that one, guys. Okay, this from Good News Network. This one from a couple days ago. And it's crime related, which is terrific. Written just by Good News Network staff. Headline: Hero British cop saves life of American officer while on holiday in Nashville. Oh, you don't say. And it shows the picture of British Sergeant Taylor Johansson left with Officer Pete Kinsey and Chief Drake from the Nashville PD. Okay, a British policeman has been hailed as a hero after helping to save the life of an American officer while on holiday in Nashville. Off-duty Sergeant Taylor Johansson had just arrived in the Tennessee city when he saw local officer Pete Kinsey being assaulted by a man on the side of the road. The officer from Ashford, Kent, was driving down the I-440 exit ramp at around 8 p.m. on May 7th in his rented Jeep Wrangler, because of course it was. Guys, listen, if you're coming over to the States from England, I can guess which of two cars you're going to rent, okay? One is a Jeep Wrangler, and the other is a Ford Mustang convertible. It's always that. It's like, I've never known any of my British friends to ever rent a car other than a Wrangler or a Mustang convertible. And it's especially delightful when my British friends say, I've rented a Stang. I love that. Okay. He says that the American officer was being assaulted by a 43-year-old pedestrian who even managed to grab the officer's gun and fire a round while it was holstered. Whoa! Rushing into action, the Brit tackled the suspect and managed to keep him restrained until Officer Kinsey was able to taser and handcuff him. Quote, "We had been out of the airport for about 10 minutes, said the 34-year-old Englishman. As I was driving on the exit ramp, I saw the police car parked up and could see two people fighting on the floor. I stopped my car to see what was going on. The suspect was on top of the officer and he was headbutting him, punching him, biting him." Close quote. He decided to jump on top of him and was able to pull him off and hold him down while his girlfriend Emily, who is also a constable in England, called the local police and asked for backup. Quote, "I hadn't really thought about it, to be honest. It was only really afterwards when I realized the gravity of what was going on," Sergeant Johansson told SWNS News. "Natural instinct kicked in and the fight or flight." Officer Kinsey reported he saw the pedestrian walking along the exit ramp and went to check on him after his commands to stop were ignored. But as he approached, the stranger started to attack him, pinning the cop face down for around 6 minutes in the traumatic ordeal. Wow. Body cam footage shows the tense struggle before Sergeant Johansson, who works in the community safety unit with the Kent Police, runs in asking, "Are you okay?" And Kinsley has credited Sergeant Johansson with saving his life. It's probably the closest near-death experience I can say I've had, and probably the most traumatic. It was scary. I knew he was going for my gun. And you can read the rest of this on Good News Network. It is linked in the description down below. And those guys are your headlines.
True crime headlines.
Okie dokie. Let's just wrap it up by seeing what you guys are saying before we go. Life with Laura says stats are that 1 in 12 kids will lose a parent or sibling by 18. Just an interesting factoid. Wow, I consider myself extremely blessed to have made it to 50 and have both of my parents. Jennifer Dobbins says, any information as what happened with the children's book she wrote? I would assume it's removed from retailers and hope children get any financial gains if it earned any. Yeah, I think it was only on Amazon.com, and yeah, it was taken down upon her arrest. Fire Rabbit says, I'm only 5'1", so you're a giant to me. That's funny. Mooney says, the strangest compliment for me was that I am a tree hugger, but I actually do hug trees, especially my very old ones. Very nice. Jen Pookie watching from Nashville. Love your channel. Thank you. I'm glad you're here. Merglip says, most eye-opening compliment I've received is someone said I had golden flecks around the blue in my eyes. I don't look in the mirror often. Well, that's pretty cool. I'm mom, not bro. That's great. I'm mom, not bro. Says Gavin, so bummed I missed this live. I live in Summit County and am thrilled Kouri is no longer polluting our city with her toxicity. Well, I'm not mom, bro. I can echo your sentiment. While I don't live there anymore, the beginning of my life was spent in Peoa, where my grandma was raised and my grandpa was raised in nearby Francis, the home of the Richins family. I know that area very, very well. I go back there from time to time. I love it out there. And I am glad as well that the stench of Kouri Richins can no longer be smelt, as our British friends would say, over the smell of mink sheds. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate it. Detroit says, Gavin agreed, very poignant. Heather, whatever. Minot can be the coldest place in the U.S. My parents had friends there. Yeah, my parents have stories about Minot. Lynn Taylor, Gavin, would KR be able to continue the life insurance policies on her kids? How would she pay for that? Can you continue policies if she no longer has custody? So many questions about this. I think she can. I think she can as long as she pays the premiums. I believe she can. Now, I don't know how she could be the beneficiary of them. Maybe she has to change beneficiaries. I don't know. We probably should consult an insurance person on that. That's an interesting one. Mooney says, Gavin, you need to go to Chincoteague Island, Virginia. Okay. I will. I better write that one down, Mooney. Thank you very much. Frida People says, Gavin, when I was in my 30s, my boyfriend at the time told me that if he was a female, he would want to look like me. I just don't know what to think of that. Oh, that's funny. That I don't either. I would take it as a compliment. Let's take that as a compliment. He's saying that you are the ideal. But that's a clumsily delivered compliment. That is so funny. Fauzi Anwar says, I'm from the UK. Sorry, just watching this from the beginning. You don't have to be sorry at all. Thanks for joining us. Glad you are here. And Frida People says, don't go to Jailhouse retreat. If you are just too curious, have someone else go and report back. Okay, I will not go to Jailhouse retreat. And Monica Oliver says, you sound like some of the old broadcasters from back in the day. Do I need to add things like see and stuff like that so that I sound a little more old timey? And Debbie says, thank you, Kingfish, for the good vibes. It is my pleasure. Guys, thank you for joining me today. Tomorrow, I don't know what we're going to be talking about quite yet, but I just realized earlier today that it's been way too long since Miss Elizabeth Jones has been on the channel. So I invited her on, and we are going to be chatifying a little bit, so you won't want to miss that. Elizabeth is from Hillbilly Crime here on YouTube, and she is awesome. Before we go, do not forget that tomorrow at 11:59 p.m. Pacific time, May 21st, 11:59 p.m. Pacific time, is the deadline for you to get in to the Omega Speedmaster giveaway, which I am doing partnering with fanofthem.com. All you have to do is click on the link in the description below or go to fanofthem.com/Gavin Fish. And if you buy a limited edition collectible or some digital merch to support me, you will be entered to win. So again, click the link in the description or go to fanofthem.com/Gavin Fish, grab some merch or digital download to get your automatic entry and a chance to win this beautiful black-faced Speedmaster chronograph. My goodness, look at that thing. Best of luck, and thank you so much for the support. I also just want to remind you that you can always reach out to me and find me on my website, gavinfish.com, which looks like this. If you click on the Support Me tab, there are lots of ways to support me. One of the most important, if it will load, there we go, is scrolling down to the bottom, buying our lead moderator, Autumn, a cup of coffee. And if you click on the fishy, that will take you to the fish tank where we hang out on Facebook. You are always cordially invited. And with that, guys, I bid you adieu. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you for your support. Thank you for being you. And I will see you on the next one. Until then, take care of yourselves.